So, jumping in Celeste can be strange. For instance, getting speed off of a corner using a climb jump is weird. Being able to corner kick with spikes in the way is also weird. Heck, even the inherent speed boost we get from jumping is weird and makes Prologue a much goofier chapter to speedrun. But at least all of this weirdness can be explained away pretty easily. Jumps give us plus 40 speed horizontally, and this is actually the spikes' fault for not having an applicable hitbox when you're moving in the same direction they face. However, how do you explain this?
Is it a mid-air wave dash? Is it cheating? Can we make a portmanteau out of this?
No, just don't. Celeste has got a lot of compensatory behaviors behind the scenes that make it quite fun and lenient to play, which means we end up with some niche interactions we can exploit. A few months earlier, I had played a custom map which pretty deep into the level required this tech to pursue the level further.
Oh no! What is that? Wait, what? Oh Lord. What is that? Like, there's no... Yeah. Huh? I'm almost like surprised. There's nowhere to do this? Like vanilla Celeste, there's nowhere to do this?
And in my infinite wisdom, I promptly left because I wasn't a huge modded Celeste player, so why bother with something that isn't in vanilla? Someone had actually found a use for this movement.
God damn it!
What brings us all here today is that over the last few months, more and more members of the community kept crushing my any percent personal best. And I had enough of it. I was determined to learn this strat and mark this as the beginning of my comeback to Celeste any percent. But learning a brand new strat and mechanic to integrate into my cobweb-riddled strats has its difficulties. When speedrunning, we are constantly weighing the risks against the benefits of learning newer and more difficult strats that seem to save less and less time as a game ages, which is precisely why I've been stuck with my collection of strats for about 1.5 years. They work most of the time, and so any change will require a very methodical way of integrating them without making this another choke point in a full any percent run. The first step we'll take in this methodology involves defining whatever the thing it is you're trying to learn. So let's do that. This is a dash bounce. And yes, your eyes did not deceive you before, and they still don't. Madeline appears to be jumping in mid-air, but not only that, she has enough horizontal speed to clear all of the spike to make it to the other side. And unlike some minor optimizations we've seen here and there, this simple switch from letting the block carry me to the end versus casually breaking all logic saves me a whole 0.6 seconds. Yes, that is a big deal in Celeste. So it probably makes sense why I chose this as the first strat to get me back on track with my speedrunning journey. Since it's only a single strat, it shouldn't take too long to learn. Why would it necessitate a whole video? First off, dash bounces suck way more than you think. Second off, even if learning a strat were easy, the implementation of strats is where a lot of people end up falling short when learning how to speedrun. Hence, my poor semi-performance in my personal best run. So there will be more to learning this strat than just executing it a handful of times and going, yay, yippee, yahoo, time for a full level run. No! None of that. I'm going to take you through this methodology and show you how it'll not only help to integrate a brand new strat in the most consistent way possible, it'll also demonstrate the magic of this methodology and how it can be applied to any strats in the game. We've already started with naming the thing we want to do, so next up, we gotta learn how to do a dash bounce. Obviously. Then we have to execute the dash bounce a few times in a row, comfortably using save states to get a feel for the timing. After that, we have to execute the room from entry to exit successfully in order to slot the new strat into our currently existing mental database of strats. And finally, is the test. While keeping my previous room and post-room strats the same, I must get through all 3 rooms with every strat I intend to use as if I were speedrunning the full level. Learning a strat means nothing if you're not actually comfortable and consistent in your execution of said strat while preserving the rest of your run. Unless you want to learn stuff for fun, which is totally fair. But I want to eventually pin this strat down in a shiny new Ridge speedrun, so let's get on with it. On this fateful day, I hopped into Ridge to begin my training.
And I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing.
I have not played these levels in so long. This is what I like to call the I'm completely oblivious stage. I don't have any muscle memory for the strat. I barely know what components make up the strat. And worst of all, I know this room very well. Why is this a problem, you may ask? Well, after 1,700 hours of playing Celeste and at least 1,300 of those hours being dedicated to speedrunning it, I've had my fair share of muscle memory built up over the years in this room. So it starts feeling really weird when I try doing anything else besides the strats I know and love. In this case, I need to stop this up, left, and grab motion. Okay, Simple enough. But what are we supposed to do instead to implement this new bit of Celeste tech?
So there is a strat here that you can do called the dash bounce. And essentially how it works, it's usually done with 2 dashes. At least, you know, it only makes sense with 2 dashes, which is why it works with this bubble and 1 dash. So what it involves is a wall bounce as well as a downright, but how do I even phrase this?
Buddy, you don't. Because you don't actually know how it works. Let Spoods and Eugene come to the rescue.
Wall bounce jump lasts longer than dash if you dash soon enough. Wall bounce jump lasts longer than dash if you dash soon enough. So the idea is that you do the wall bounce. I got that part. But right after you do the wall bounce, oh no, you're doing the jump for what would be the wall bounce right after you do the downright dash, I think is what the... No? Oh.
Just shut up. You're confusing everyone.
There's 2 very simple components to a dash bounce. A wall bounce and a dash. Wait.
Fuck! It's already a portmanteau!
We can then break down the wall bounce into the up dash part and the jump part. But what we really want to focus on is this jump that does all of the magic. This jump lasts longer than the following dash, which is why we get that iconic bounce at the end. This is known as jump timer abuse, and it'll show its face again in just a moment. We first need some more pieces to the dash bounce puzzle. 2 important things come into play here: buffering and timers. I've got an in-depth explanation to buffering and how it works in my sub 40 guide, but in short, anytime you go from an action not being possible to it being possible, you can start holding the input early to buffer it to come out as soon as possible. In a dash bounce, the up dash makes the downright dash impossible because of our dash cooldown timer. So we can press and hold downright dash early so it gets executed the moment dash cooldown from the up dash ends. As for the jump that slots in between that up dash and downright dash, we'll get to it. So where do timers come into play? This game mechanic is a bit more of a doozy, so bear with me. The game has states of Madeline like the states of matter in our universe, but in a video game. The relevant ones for us include her normal state and dash state, both which change the way Madeline behaves and interacts with her universe. And some of these behaviors limit their stay by the use of timers. Her normal state is the default one, so nothing special there. And she exists in it indefinitely until she changes state. While her dash state starts a dash attack timer that gives her the ability to get into dream blocks, move Kevins, etc. And this runs for the entire length of the dash plus 6 frames after she leaves the dash state for that little bit of extra leniency. Once you introduce a jump while in either of these states, things get strange. Because jumps are strange. Just know that a jump will result in Madeline being set to the normal state once again, except a jump timer starts to run. Dashes and jumps need these timers so that Madeline doesn't trigger her Kevin too long after she dashes or jumps into the ether. After a certain amount of time, you can touch a Kevin without triggering it, and similarly, a jump will stop giving you vertical speed and bring you back down to Planet Celeste. Simple enough. Is what I would say if that were all to the story. Don't worry, we're getting there. The most critical component to understand here is that when we line up these timers, our jump timer is shorter than our dash, except for when we do a wall bounce, which means we will press up dash while in the bubble to fast bubble. Green bubbles operate just like a dash in the way that we can press jump after that fast bubble to get a wall bounce. That wall bounce will start our wall bounce jump timer. We continue jumping for a frame until dash cooldown from that first dash ends, so we can start our second dash. Then that second dash will end, but the jump timer will not. And as we established before, the jump timer is giving us vertical speed. So once that downright dash ends, Madeline's jump timer will continue moving her upward and give us the hop we've been looking for. While this is everything that Eugene and Spoods were getting at, do you really think I understood what they were trying to say?
Wow. What? That's so crazy. That is literally crazy sounding.
As far as my attempts were concerned, I was doing a good job at getting away from my muscle memory at this point. I was also doing a good job of getting that sinking feeling like I was way out of my depth. Legitimately, at this point, I just felt like it wasn't for me and really considered stopping altogether. Like, do I really need this strat? Probably not. I've already got a pretty consistent cliff face as is. And honestly, I think I just have to be a bit more optimal with my movement and I shouldn't be wasting my time.
Oh! Oh!
Now there was nothing that could get me out of cliff face.
I had a glimmer of hope in the form of... But finally, I was given some validation that my efforts were not in vain. It's not the fancy speedy bounce I wanted, but it's the boost of morale I needed to keep going. However this timing worked, my fingers were starting to get the hang of it, even if I still didn't understand whatever the hell all this meant.
I just did it again. What? How did I do that? Okay, so we're getting the timing, which is the good part. And I can kind of see when I'm like hitting it in a weird way. Okay, let's try a different save state. That was more just so I can get it once.
With the new save state, I'm now in a more realistic position where I can't just spam wall bounces and dashes until I hit the strat. But switching over to a save state encompassing the whole room has its complications.
Oh. Nope. Oh. Can I...
Eventually, I was able to make 2 + 2 equal a demo hyper into a jump, into a downright dash, into jump, into the dash bounce attempts. All the while, that jump for the wall bounce was still causing me issues. I couldn't get the timing right between pressing jump and pressing downright. And of course, I could slow down and be a little more analytical about it, or...
Oh my god! What the fuck? How did I... What? Huh? Huh? What? Where? What the fuck? How did my finger...
For the first time in the last 20 minutes of practice attempts, something just clicked. My fingers did something my brain did not understand, and so I began to crave another success. And another came. And in between all of these attempts, there came many micro adjustments, from how I enter the room, how I hit the token, how long I wait for the block to move to the right, when I decide to upright into the bubble. All of these components are essential in memorizing a consistent approach to the dash bounce, so all I need to focus on are the pesky timings of the strat itself. And with a better setup and more practice comes even more success.
Ooh! Oh, ho, ho, ho. I can like feel it. Like I can feel it, which is the problem. My fingers know it better than my own brain does. Oh, that's crazy. Oh my god, we hit it twice in a row. We got the dash bounce twice in a row. I just didn't... I died last time, but like we hit it twice in a row. Holy!
But just like that, I'd lose the ability to do it again. All because of 2 parts of this strat I was failing to understand. The first part is because of the limitation in our surroundings. Remember the dash attack timer and the jump timer I was talking about? Well, one fun fact about the dash attack timer is that if you hit your head against the ceiling, it immediately kills that timer. So if we wanted to hit this dash bounce anywhere else with a clear area above our head, we'd have the last 2 frames of the dash and that 6-frame dash attack leniency gifted to us by the game in order to jump and downright dash. But because of the ceiling being so close to us when we fast bubble upward, we get none of the leniency frames from the dash attack. In short, we only have 2 frames where we can nail this strat because of the ceiling killing our leniency frames from the dash attack. Now remember, I said that there were 2 parts I was failing to understand. The second part doesn't change the fact that it's still a strat with only 2 frames that allow it to work, but it does simplify how we can think about the strat, which will help us hit it more often. And there it is, that second part that I'm missing. Scrolling up in my chat, ready to save the day. And I would continue to miss it for many, many, many more attempts. Sorry, Spoons. But thankfully, Sylph came to save the day at a moment where I was actually reading chat.
Wait, Sylph, what do you mean you can press them at the same time? Huh? Wait, hold on. Is that why I just got it that time? Is that why that worked? Because literally I read that, I tried it.
It really was the last piece to this puzzle. Trying to think of both the jump and downright dash as individual inputs necessary to hit a 2-frame window is a logistical nightmare. Instead, by hitting them at the same time, the game will always read our jump input the moment we press it, while putting the downright dash on that buffering schedule to execute right after the up bubble. So we'll always get the jump followed by the downright dash, as long as we press them during the last 2 frames of the up bubble. Yes, that still sucks, but it does suck less.
I don't know why it didn't process to me. Yeah, people use dash jump bind for this. Oh my god, wait. I think this is the critical piece of information that I've been missing. Oh, guys, it's over. Guys, it's so over. In like the good way. I guess people don't usually say it like that. No, we're so back.
Finally, conceptually and mechanically, we understood how a dash bounce worked and how to give ourselves the best chances to hit it consistently. There's still just one issue left to tackle around the use of this strat. While we've learned how to execute this strat, we've only done so with hundreds of repetitions starting from exactly this point in the room before. And unfortunately, checkpoint runs, individual level runs, and full game runs don't start from this one singular point. But before we start moving the save state around again, let's first introduce the rooms that follow this one to get an idea of the flow of things. Since the end of this room has the same strat to move on to the next room as my old strats, I didn't really feel much of a change, which is great. A few attempts at this made the rooms feel fluid enough. Then came the harder part, moving the save state to earlier in the checkpoint. Immediately, my muscles lost their memory. It's so much harder to start from a room back to go into the room you've been practicing, rather than doing all the rooms after the practiced room. We only learn to understand the timing of the strat when it's the most imminent thing to occur, but now that memory is delayed by a whole room and multiple other strats. My fingers couldn't even remember where they were supposed to go. I was missing the buffer timing and not hitting jump and dash at the same time, which led to many failed attempts.
Come on.
But those many failed attempts led to a few successful attempts, and those successes led to the familiar feeling of how I was hitting this dash bounce in the first place. Once the strat was properly seated in place in the checkpoint as a whole, now we've come full circle to the original challenge. We started this journey with one goal in mind, to hit a clean run of the room before, the room being practiced, then the room after. I knew I was in for a grind, but I also knew that I had many successful attempts at doing this room already. So all I needed was one clean go.
I did my bad muscle memory again. Nice. Nice. Oh, let's go. How can we take it? Can we go farther with it? Can we get the super? We can get the super. Can we get the fast version of this? We can. We're gonna keep going. Can we get the reverse? No! No! Sad, but that's so good. That's it. We got it. Oh my god. Crazy.
I destroyed my goal of getting 3 rooms in a row, but I couldn't leave well enough alone, because obviously, I'm not consistent at it. If this is going to be a meaningful strat for runs, we have to be able to hit it in runs, which means we need consistency. We're no longer just training our ability to hit the dash bounce. We need to train our ability to hit multiple difficult strats under pressure. Good paces in our runs bring nerves, and nerves bring inevitable mistakes. The best way to tackle this? Further reinforcement. It was time to get myself a new cliff face PB after years of letting it stagnate. And by how much was this strat going to allow me to PB? 0.6 seconds? Assuming I do everything else flawlessly? Well, it's worth a shot. In less than 10 minutes after starting attempts, and only an hour and a half after learning what a dash bounce was, I landed this run.
That felt great. That felt wonderful. Wow. That was... Oh, what a clean checkpoint. Let me check my PB. What is my PB? How much did we beat it by? I'm like pretty confident that beat my PB. I was not expecting to get that so quickly. This has been crazy. Wow. I beat it by almost 0.7. It's basically the same amount that I saved with the new strat. It's like 0.66. My previous PB was a 40.409, and now I have a sub 40. Oh my God. Oh, wow. Wow. I am so happy we actually like learned the strat and we were able to implement it in a full run.
This was my first sub 40-second time in Cliff Face ever, after almost 2 years of little to no strat updates. It did take a couple of steps to get to this point, starting with swimming in the unknown, making some discoveries, learning, understanding, then proper execution over hundreds of attempts. And the most painful part of it all was contained within just these first 2 steps, where doubts and failed attempts were at an all-time high. But if we listen to those small chirps of doubt, who knows how much longer we would have stayed in the dark on how to do this strat. While I'd like to say this is the end of the road and that we've made it, the inevitable purpose of learning this strat was not just to hit the 3 rooms in a row, nor was it to get a checkpoint personal best, but to gradually step up the consistency so that I can bring this strat into my full game attempts and get a new any % personal best in the future. With more rooms and time between my starting point and making it here, it can become more difficult to remember exactly how this room strats are meant to be executed. We just gotta take it one step at a time. Any strats you want to bring into your runs, take it through this gauntlet. Learn the strat and understand how it works and how it can go wrong. Distance yourself from the strat by adding rooms before and after the one being proved so that you can blend it into the fabric of your runs. You will experience aimlessness in the beginning of any strat learning, especially mechanic learning, and that's how it's supposed to feel. But of course, there was no way I'd accomplish learning how to dash bounce in this short amount of time on my own. I only got to this point by learning alongside other members of the Celeste community. People in my chat, my Discord, and the greater Celeste Discord bring life to learning and growing in the speedrunning scene. The many chatters, namely Spoods, Yujene, Sylph, and many others, took the time out of their days to hang out, teach me, and watch me go from a bumbling doofus to a bumbling doofus who knows how to dash bounce. And there are only but a few of the Celeste speedrunning enthusiasts who love this game and are so knowledgeable about it and want to share it with anyone remotely interested. That takes a special kind of community, which is why I try to do my best to pass along this energy and help more people enjoy speedrunning this game however I can. All this to say, don't be afraid to ask questions. Learn from others who've made it to the other side of the learning curve. And most importantly, don't give up on yourself. You'll always be more capable than you think you are. It just involves a little wandering, discovery, some epiphanies, and maybe even some friends along the way. Practice smart and believe in yourself. You got this. And hopefully you've learned not just how to dash bounce, but also how you should go about learning any strats that pique your interest and getting them into your runs successfully. I'd love to hear about what strats or mechanics you end up applying this process to and how it has impacted your practice. So leave a comment or hop into my Discord where we've got a ton of cool people who are way better than me at this game that are also willing to talk about all things Celeste any %. And if you want me to be the one to help you get your any % game up, I do have a Patreon where I offer one-on-one help with your runs and give as much feedback as I can muster catered to your skill level. And if you feel at all generous, there's the $1 tier just to hang out with all these other cool people in an exclusive channel on my Discord. Till next time, keep your practice optimal. Bye-bye.
Don't say you suck at it. Sometimes, oh! I hope you were looking. I hit it. I just didn't get across. Sir, hey, no, you did not blink. Shut up. You did not blink, Violence. Don't give me that. Woo! You didn't blink that time. You couldn't have blinked that time. You didn't blink that time either, right? You saw that one? Did you see that one too? Did you see that one 3? Did you see that one 4? It could have been something great. It could have been something amazing, but that's fine. Whatever. Whatever. That's the most I've ever hit it in my life. And now, where am I dashing now?